Hey there, boys and girls. It's me again, your old buddy Bree. 2020 has been the longest year of my entire life. Now, I'm sure it's been the longest year of your life too, and his life, and her life. But when you're waiting 3 months for gastric sleeve surgery, 1 month can feel like 3 months. Then 2 months starts to feel more like 9 months. And 3 months feels like a million freaking years. It's August 4th or 5th right now. My next appointment with my surgeon is not until August 27th. That's millennia from now. That's a lifetime. That's light years away. And I thought it would be fun to video blog about my surgery and my trials and tribulations, but I've got no news. I've got no updates. What am I supposed to? I got nothing. And meanwhile, over in the peanut gallery, I'm getting lots of angry phone calls and text messages. Frantic, panicky emails, all from people who are worried that I'm going to wreak the same kind of havoc with this new medium as I did with my newspaper columns and my magazine articles and even my blog, especially my blog. But don't worry, kiddies, I'm not gonna vlog about you yet. In those days, I wasn't writing about weight loss. I was writing mainly about bad dates and how much I hated men. And I had a lot of bad dates. I mean, terrible bad. These were great. They were Muslims and scuba divers and monks and boat captains, ninjas. It was a great time for me. But in all those bad dates, I never had anybody just not show up to go on a date with me. I never had anybody take one look at me and leave, and I certainly never had anybody call me fat. I guess there's a first time for everything. Back in October, this idiot started messaging me, and he says, "Do you want to go skydiving?" All capital letters. And it didn't matter how bald or ancient he was. I did want to go skydiving, so I looked at his page, but he had that as his headline, "Do you want to go skydiving?" Which told me one thing. He was copying and pasting that message to every chick on the site because he was just that much of a loser, and he knew that that was the only way he was ever going to get another date. And months go by, and he's sending me all these messages. "Will you please just give me a chance? I want to go skydiving with you. You're beautiful. You intrigue me." Wow, intrigue. That's a 4th grade vocab word. Score. Bonus. Not enough to get me out with him, though. And then something terrible happened. It was New Year's Eve. I was a new kid in a new town. I didn't know anybody yet. And the only person to ask me out for New Year's was the skydiving queer. Usually when a guy asks you out on New Year's, it means wear an evening dress and heels because I'm taking you to a gourmet restaurant with white tablecloths and 3 forks at every plate. That sort of thing. The whole 9 yards. But when he said trade winds, I knew I wasn't going to be needing that evening gown that night because that's the kind of place that you go to and you go home and you have to burn all your clothes and you wash your hair with Lysol and vinegar just to get the stench out. Wasn't going to need the heels that night. Didn't have another date though, and I certainly didn't want to stay home, so I met him there, but I did something I've never done on a date before. I took my mother. In all my years of dating, I have never, ever actually taken my mother on a date. But this guy he was kind of creepy. He was a little bit mean. He was very demanding. And I just, come with me. Wait at the bar. I'll buy you a drink. 2 hours go by. 2 whole hours. And I'm starting to think, I've been stood up. Where is this guy? And right about that time, I get some messages. "I think I'm in the wrong place. Where are you? The girl in your pictures is just not here." And I text him back. "I'm sitting at the end of the bar. I'm the only girl in this whole place who's actually with her mother on New Year's Eve." And he texts me back. "That can't be you. No way. The only person in this bar who fits that description is definitely not the supermodel in your pictures. The girl in your pictures was beautiful." Burn! Now that's rich. That was my cue. I picked up my stuff and I didn't even bother to look around for him. I wasn't interested. I didn't care what he looked like. I left. I went across the street with my mother and I bought her dinner on New Year's Eve. I wasn't happy about that, but I couldn't even enjoy the meal because I'm getting text messages the whole time. My phone's being blown up. They don't stop. He's furious. He's angry. He's mostly mad about the money he wasted on the Uber coming all the way out here to meet some girl who turned out to be really unattractive. And he's yelling at me in all capital letters. It's not nice to catfish people. It's not nice to steal pictures. You're just a terrible person. And then, after about 20 of those, and no responses from me, he decides to change tack. I guess he realized that it was New Year's Eve and he didn't have a date, because he starts begging me, pleading with me to come back to the bar. I'm sorry. I was just expecting the girl in the pictures. I don't care that you're unattractive. I would like to get to know you and what's in your heart. I had no interest, and I said, no thank you. I'm done. I'll send you the dinner bill when I get home. No, bring it to me now. It's worth a few drinks. Well, this is almost irresistible. Not for drinks, because I went back for one reason and one reason only, and that was to get a picture of his big, dumb head. And it was a dumb one. It was a stupid one. Let's look. Well, this guy. Can you imagine this guy ever anywhere in this world? In what world, on what planet is this guy gonna be upset about how any of his dates look? His screen name was Rob Roy 71. I assumed that was the year he was born. But take one look at him, you can see that that's probably the year he graduated high school. And he's got one of those stupid beards, the long ones, trying to make up for the fact that he has not one hair on his head. And he's trying to look younger. And he doesn't even talk to me. He goes up to my mother and he takes out his phone and he starts showing her the pictures on My Plenty of Fish. This isn't your daughter. This can't be her. This isn't her. She's catfishing me. It's terrible. So he's obviously lured me back to the bar to put me through the ringer and yell at me for being ugly. I changed the subject because my mother's telling him those are all my daughter and this is 3 months old. So he starts talking about himself and his job and his stupid blue-collar job and his divorce and why his license got taken away. And I'm not really listening, just keep buying me drinks. And that's when the karaoke lady came in. I decided I wanted to stay and do some karaoke. My mother, she was tired. She wanted to go home. I wanted to stay and do some karaoke, and then I ditched the loser. I didn't know I was going to be kicked out of the bar 7 minutes later. Because the second my mother left, he starts taking out my pictures again. This isn't you, this isn't you, this isn't you, this can't be you. He's almost pitying me. I can see it. This isn't you. You've got to admit, you've gained quite a bit of weight. You look like you ate the girls in your pictures. Keep in mind, this is before coronavirus. This is before quarantine. This was before all the gyms closed. So this is a good 30, 40 pounds ago. And he's sitting there and he's calling me fat. I didn't get mad. I stayed calm. And I reached back and I let him have it right there in the eye. And he stands up. He starts wandering around. And the next thing I knew, he was behind me again. And I turned around and I looked at him and he's about to say something. I don't know what I was about to say though, because I slugged him again right in the nose. And he's standing there, his eyes all puffy, there's blood pouring out everywhere. And the bartender, she starts yelling at me. "Excuse me, ma'am, you have to leave." I didn't do anything. He called me fat. And she says to me, "You're not fat, you're beautiful, but you still have to leave." And I'm not really upset that I'm being kicked out of the bar at 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I'm upset that she's sending me out at the same time she's sending the guy out. And we're out there. He's texting his Uber. He's sitting there. He's got Kleenex in his nose and his eyes all red. And he's kind of tearing up. And I call my mother. Mom, Mommy, I need you to come and get me from my bad date. She's not even home yet. She's still on the way. She's in the car. She just turns around and comes and gets me. And she starts yelling at me. You could have been arrested. You could be in jail right now. I don't want to bail you out of jail. And I'm laughing. This went on for months that she's yelled at me about this and what a terrible person I was, but he deserved it. And a few months ago, she confessed to me that she really enjoyed it. I know it's kind of anticlimactic compared to most of my dates, but that's what happened, and that's why you should never, ever, ever call a woman fat for any reason. Just never. And if she asks you, am I fat? There's no right answer to that question. You just keep your mouth shut. Thank you. Good evening. Have a great day.